Everybody, I want to hear you. Let's go. Come on. One more time. Come on. I like it from Akka on guitar. I can't hear you. Break it down. I want to hear that. Let's go. Come on. Zoom. I want to hear the man.
For good evening, and Mimobibia Fishapa. We are in the year 2026, and Nyamiadum, I'm very happy to come here once again. Now, my father so na me wish your listeners ni viewers ni na so afishiapa mo amwa Deliman mo amwa Achimhiman mo amwa Rara mo amwa T-Regent nkwanta bebia mesremo mo wi afishiapa na yedobo ade ase wahwe so na ode bedru 2026 mu. We are once again back, and this is the first ever edition of the 2026 Nokware Mmre live on TodayGhanaNewsTV, your number one favorite. And when it comes to politics, entertainment, we are going to hire graphics, you chum, and said you be do. In fact, you feel one listeners, viewers, in other romantic. Afishapa, a same come we be as answer. The panelists are mobile show ni swing na presenters bia Afishapa nkomo bia me co-presenters ni na so Afishapa kese nkoma me boss Penny Setadi Mr. Only no she from January last year to now. Boy Juma pa unse TodayGhanaNewsTV ko nanim na konkan na gidin e wa me na che Penny Setadi she kira samre odi enim abeto no she kira pimpia ne mama you media ni your channel so very active. Now we are back with another interesting edition of the show that is Nokware Mmre on your favorite channel, TodayGhanaNewsTV. Mr. Mo, we are live via Twitch on the satellite. So on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, our search handle here TodayGhanaNewsTV. Associate channels are some we making sure say omode come here my gidin show ye ubia oni Facebook so ana bibia so OTB on chain High FM 93.5 and no Achimhiman Samsung Kings Radio Accra Jamframa TV Rara T-Region Secure Information Center and no at the totally in the northern Ghana Adeliman Community Information Center so no kwanta Samre ukosha umebium ha ubia jibre ajin konwa mubeti dwumedi we Fans TV wa flow Sami maybe pacho uko Facebook YouTube nso search under near ba ko TodayGhanaNewsTV boso mame yebeba uba ade ba ko pen na message so be ya mame make sure say you like, you share, and also share your comments, your thoughts, and your opinions in no you have say be kind na mamo. This is the way I interact na di dwumedi ni boom, so don't get it twisted. And show no be lovely say because opening back Bennett okoshi ma waba bro nye die one opening ajima be die na say bro nya na ohwa o my ready so mbedi me omu kakabo manom ni account na ekọ enim santi viewers ni na so benya bi anya bohre Mr. Mo men say mekra no let me go straight no before I will do that I would like to touch on one of few things that somebody did bro nya we ni course wa Ghana me I feel say it's not good enche bia na yekoda sorry ya yehu say fire service encounter issue bia co-journalist copy one match say mo bu no prepare na fire service for there nanka mo da makoma so papa because I feel say all the security service no they be ameka all the security service na fire service na ye undermine your mopa like they don't put in much resource and all that inti media as a journalist journalist ye bi bo amode nka ye ni bedi mu adwuma na chi say they be project because academic tools na mudi adwuma nka mu bi so je ni she barras ye providing with bibia navy in barras ye providing with bibia police in crowd barras fire service they be in crowd we dey jeto bibia na frefre workers omuda mu fisa momra na yin na yenko sometimes the taxi car na mdeko nti modi na nke ni di machi pa na ba na sign na mko journalist fire service we no a lot of the organizations or government bodies now have come out to condemn it. In fact, GJ, and so the Omodia by a condemning, but in Chai crack fire. Uja, Jamuye in Chai crack. We condemn this act. However, or whatever the case was, it shouldn't have gotten there. Some so journalism. Semu bu journalists for and amu bu media na the third and the fourth arm of government. So bu media it said they're watching abai nipa na wabono because you are the fourth arm of government. In fact, you can't. Nka ye tum na you can show bia so because you bia ye hwe no. Nti se utimi de onsa kan abai nipa na se watomra na nka wo de onsa kan media ni so watomra. Men kasa bebre sem na mpemfo aso asem no mudi no way there's nothing like investigation you act we saw how these men were beaten this journalist. And it's uncalled for. It's very appalling. Shame. You see, these days, no, shame. We will name and shame. The authority or the leadership of the Ghana Fire Service should bring these people out. As so train said, the we name and shame them. Journalists or all the information about report issues. Whatever the case was, Nankamuntimi and can amicably, even if he's trespassing, Nankamuntimi and can amicably. To the point that mutimi bu journalists, more bono, Asian attire. Can box expand KB? Why? In fact, Meja, but I'm still in the New Year mood. Until make you chat so kakra. There are a lot of issues that we want to tackle. Now, before then, no, let me zoom in straight to my panelists. I want to give them some few minutes. No, okay, hold on. Let me zoom in straight to my newspaper front page. Now I'm kofa and sama because and then panelists me who match start kasana et waso sa. Until we are my kofa me newspaper no and some me ko PM front page. The Evening Tribune there Ghana hanum na nseme etwa in fact bro yen na media fo bi made da ye na Evening Tribune e ye adwuma. Na eno ni newspapers am biem a hu say yes. The cover Ghana in a bibia wo che say ye no ye yibi mfime fa bi nka ye nka bi nhye the tie no sa pepe na Evening Tribune no report Ghana's only watchdog na some ko pie mu e wo front page wonum no ebi e na me de brewi wo sha Omampeni President His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and picture e bo honum kese pa I see no third term for Mahama NDC declares asem way akwa ebura ha pa your maya rule of law juma in as much democracy is also working rule of law juma to short and 24 enyoma tutu kwan said e be obia nkoye BBC nemu akoye say obi whisper ni bi whisper no kra in fact ene ye be di ho nkomo ye sure so opinion agiman so me amini akwa me agiman no so be fa akonya we so a church nsem mo Ghana ni bia ate ne ho ase anti na show no there like I said no pile show bibia so be koso e wo show no bi na machine no so amai odofo sanso na wo share the Evening Tribune people no ma one side right one no that part bit me biem zoom in kaka in fact my people no engine amamfo hu nsema ekoso boldly na ye hu de ekoso wo people no na ukopiem a ensam de bebre na twagu ye yimi free so kra na amamfo de people no entel kra nka mani baji people na here because Evening Tribune paper there come chrem enye nkwala paper I say Ghana alarms over US military action in Venezuela demands release of President Maduro in some way sisi ana so a hot cake in some way twago or for NPP's image in free fall as diaspora communicator warns party faces deep trust deficit. And something they be twagu. Yes, we will say beka. And see other for some race sanka the Evening News, the Evening Tribune newspaper ni bia Mr. Bibia o Ghana bia no kope bi kan ne bo anya de nkra nsem twagu Ghana mi hu omo ache aye di bronya abaze omo be come say studio opening sanso na opening Bennett Konedu eno nso ene wa beka yensa ache pa na omfa mo new year wishes no Mmre na yemfa dwumedi no yekọ ye nchi ani bia na yakọ break na yaba ya so mepɛ for akwaba mepɛ for Mamadu Obeni Bennett
Yeah, Minia, Mechao, Namachia,
Open me more baba.
Major Supi, Minia, na Apombo Cordia.
No na FSA. Eh we di brony.
Sir, Aja Abam Papa Mabiaka Waha.
Come.
Abam Papa Ba.
Come.
Abam Papa Bantia, Ebiaka Waha. Yeah, Yana, Apombo Cordia.
Nyamiadum.
The Yamiasi.
Tunchiama nipa menu bina menje openi ajimanso de na ewi ana itwa ho ba na de ato so.
Yo, Medasi. Minia, mame fancha kase me yahwefo na yatiefo. Na me ma ye nyina so afihyiapa. Na yen kan kire ho se afre asase yi. Onyame kan ye ho na onfe yenko se de 2025. Ode ye fa mu ma na Ghana edaba no. Saa ode no enko so enya saa mayen. Nam de ncha kase kofi akoma Yewura Dramani Mahama one na chibambofo ene ye maame vice president na Jenopuku Ajiman me ncha kase koma no na me ncha bi so koma party chairman Yewura Johnson Asidin Katia ene general secretary Yewura Pipi Kwete ene party leadership ni nyina titu minua Peter Mensah deputy CEO Emma Temasepia Limited. Midin Shakasi Emma, when you know Kojo Dankwa. The Yakasi Mum na South Africa also. Na Midin Shakasi Kakoma, a year Ankasankasa, ambassador, His Excellency Benjamin Kwashi. Midin Shakasi Komano. Say over the week, last week, Inisia Emma, deliberate on issues. Emma or my Ghana for a while, so assurance say, Yintin or Waha. Or try say or best resolve the issues at Ghana for no. And the maintenance check a saber called Pretoria. Now me the Hakomano. On a Chibambo phone in ara. And see, Minia, many besia. And I'm massage you for now for to be. But that's a P.
That's it. Opening Ajiman. How they be to Jana? You are not trying kakraba.
Mede asede edi kan be ben otwedi ampon totrobonsu se wode atwa afi 2025 asundwie mu a ye ho ama musuo ne esan bia san se na adu ne mobro hunti na yera so tim kwam waya ade anti e de aseda be ma no all this year enema esisi akese nipa free mu ensem esisi o man mu na nye ensem ketwa enye o man Ghana ewi ase be bia 2025 na nye easy. Enti say Nyankopon timi ahwe so no de atwa na say anti atinkan boni bia na e de aseda ebema no na afi yada Nyankopon ase awie no ye de ani akire fie ni yada me de bia me kan say wo ye Latter Day Saint Ura John Dramani Mahama ewi mmre mu ono ni nipa Nyankopon yi ni say onfa Ghana enkobo hye asase so isan say mfie nwotwe a Ghana ye ko nkwaso te say museum fo no Nyankopon efa Latter Day Saint Ura John Dramani Mahama suboni otwato ewa wi mmre mu o my Ghana ebeyi Ghana for free ahohihiem MPP amamu kotobo kuma free 2016 basi 2024 ahochom de Ghana for free mu a Nyankopon adaroma afi Ghana for nyina ate denne nanka from 2016 basi 2024 ebedubro nya bia na awofo esu emo boa ye den anwa boa ye den kontomire nyina boa ye den nyame adom afi wi antisa de wisi bi kire se aban papa aba yebesere Nyankopon ho bambo sonko nyansa ene nimdie ahoden kese e de amane se be bibia obetu na namosi bia na Nyankopon emfa ho no nyina anhye ne nsa o mani nimdie di bumman o mani nimdie eburo so bema o man Ghana etimi afana ntuma pefra amenchia party mpanifo nyina efri national chairman national secretary eba besi diaspora mamba Freiburg na ba betia mpanifo owura emos sisi ya wo Ghana woje wa home kakra da bia obi a metia machia menua Jonas Kwashi youth organizer wo Freiburg wonso wa bedru Ghana sisi be bia obi a metia machia me anka se menua yimano ano ba bia osibia no machia unua kwa me agimani be ntie mu odene emam na menkɔ Denmark na menkɔ chia abusuafo hɔ no menchia me ankasa me sister Rose Oseyaw Rose Osei Akoto ununua Samson Oseyaw Akoto Rose Bafo Akoto mu nyina mo Denmark abuchime mu na afi mimre fi na mfa mani nkyerɛ ka so a ɔkyade me ankasa me nua set baabi obi a mechiaw na memfa mani nkyerɛ me ankasa ɔwɔ me
signature
Elizabeth Elizabeth Boduwa
ene nka wa mbokra nka yempon
ma mo de na se ma ba su so Elizabeth ya no me de nchie mu odene ye wa nkasa obakwa me agye mani me de nchie mu odene e ma me tie busuafo ho nyina na quickly no onim se menua yeso ya ye enye Ghana nko ekọ ewiase afana ba bia
international
ekọ international. What do we say on the next month of this month of 15th of January and Uganda election? So I'll take this opportunity to advise all my people in Uganda to take action for our dear sister, mother, our lovely wife, and everything for us to take massive vote for this our sister Jacqueline for councillor number 5, Palabek Abla sub-country. This woman is a woman of vision. This woman has humanity at heart. She's a woman who has the whole Uganda at heart. So I will treat everyone to take this into consideration on the 15th of January 2025 to choose nobody than our sister, our mother, our wife, our everything. Action Jacqueline. Vote for the rainbow. Rainbow is the color that shows the unity of universe. So I will treat everyone in Uganda. Alaba Sub County, number 5, constituency. Vote for Jacqueline. Jacqueline stands for peace, unity, and development. According to Jacqueline, she says, together we can. So I will treat everyone to take note on 15th of January 2025 for the upcoming general election. And I wish you peace and successful election for upcoming general election for presidential and parliamentary election, which will be taking place on next week of 15th of January 2025. So, Minia, my can say we na yediani e3 ne de ani 3 ne aba betia abusuafo aka nyina afi so na me ankasa menua yi adom ba bia obi an so metia esan se metie won ka chepa menim se mu boduma o friends South Africa ba bia mu bia no be de ntia kese ema na ye communicators eno mu ye adwuma ofidie su nyina so mati obi a Dr. Bongo ba bia obi a no ye tia ene me de se wa ntimi ama ntimi ye so se ba bia obi a odabi me pese won tie no kre so no ba so a o kan no kre on kyerɛkyerɛ no kre mu ma ni pe program ye no kre me oba no aba besesa no enti me de se ne wa ma ene ombi na so pepe nontie ekwan a ye fa so e kan no kre enti ontie bi ba bi obi a na ye de ntia kese emu odi man na me ntia ni akase producer wura set ba bi obi a na ye tia o se afi nyina no wa chinchim afide ni mfuma na ye timi ede no kre ehinta awo man ni mu aba beto etifo nim na yenye etifo our regular listeners baby bia obi a ye da mase sansa fi munye di ni ye enye yije se obeto phone ana se obeto data na de ba betie no kre but onim se no kre be koso ye no kre nti baby bia obi bia etie bia our regular listener omo se ye program ni nyina so ye de chia kese be ma mo nya da mu nyina ma se mo nkoso na mo nse na Today Ghana News TV de ye ho se de no kre ebebre mu na ba bibia obi a mo nkoso nse na obi a enyanti all across all the social media platform ye ho se de no kre ebebre mu enti ye de nchia be ma ye tiefo nyina sanse money edi ni throughout this year ya se afi fufuru we su ase yesere won se monye akonwa monye bre ne bre na bre bia no monye enko no se ne monye ko no afre yitwa mu no ne enko yanim this year 2026 mestre se obaso a no wa share na unu nso ede enya bi etie na otika kire hoi ebokuro enti ebe nokre se obehye na unu nso ate nokre endokre bekoso aye nokre na we nkankire we na we nkankire na we nkankire na ebe mo man akoso enti mesre se wa beti sa asem bia no share obaso anu share na unu nso ede ahubi na today Ghana News TV yenku yenim na yefa yentoma pa ifra na yen nyina no onso onye nyipa enyi nim die yinim die nkyem ye ho nye fe nkyem yenku osukuku bia nkyem but ebre so a yenim nyina aba bagi akuna na ede o manum die hinta ase keta sesha ebune bi etwa mu ne nneema atete akwansam ye de ba betudua na won so wonya bi etie no wa kire wadwene de wo de ne se wo do wadwene kire ba yitimi kan e ma won so hu sampa won so you are part of the family enti ye besere se obi biara entwemen on se maninua we mfree we na won metna se ebre na so se de no kre ebem na obi am na metie bi na wadwene kire so e ba ye be kan ama won so hu se ampa you are part of us ye dwene mo enti obi biara and share today News we are here to save better.
Mirasi we ni say we de yemfa sema ba ku bi entwa ye ho mra na yenkaje aboafo nkrato ye ba na afi de topic for discussion ne there two table no so na mpenifo aboama ya pense mu wonso bebi a wo share wuti bia make sure say wa share na wo de wade ntwa ba mami ntwa me ho sema ba ko meba sesi a enko bebi a
Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna go home. Yeah.
Greetings, my name is Ras Mubarak. I'm a former member of parliament in Ghana. On the 18th of August, we're going to begin a very historic journey. A journey driving through 39 African countries that's going to take us well over 4 months, driving for 600 hours, over 40,000 kilometers. And this initiative is endorsed by the government of Ghana. Why are we doing this? We want our continent to unite, and we want our people in Africa to be able to travel within Africa without visa restrictions. You see, Africa has enormous potential beyond anybody's imagination. And if we are united as one people, one continent, if there are no restrictions for us to travel to each other's country, you have no idea what we can achieve together. The economic benefits are enormous. The cultural exchanges, the opportunity to, study and learn and tour and see each other's country is just amazing. And so we want you, my friends, to support this. And we appeal to African governments to support the initiative so that together we can make Africa visa-free now.
Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna go home. Yeah.
Leaking. A spirit that places the people and the well-being of the people ahead at all moments. So these days it saddens me when I see so much sycophancy creeping into our party. I see a group of people who obviously, from every indication, they believe that singing the praises of a leader is the only way they can survive. And that's why you hear some of those people even urging statements like there should be a third term. It's just nothing but sycophancy. Pure sycophancy and bootlicking of the highest order. Jerry Rawlings, who was the founder of this party, never at any point was urged by anybody to go for any third term. And you have a bunch of sycophants who today think that all they need to do is to sing praises and hoping that somehow those praises will get them some opportunities that they are looking for. You don't love our country. You don't love our party. If you do, you will know besides sycophants. It's important for us to appreciate that this party was grounded on the need to work for our people. We say cadres may go, cadres may come, but the revolution has come to stay. That simply means it is not about individuals. It's about us as a collective. Even bootlicking.
It also how we and the criminal live on Today Ghana News TV. Mia ne maji dwumedi ya. Meti akonya kase so edi ho chia me medin Lawrence Apieni. Yebo a obotimi afrem na Kofi Apieni ebo nso maje oso. Misre wo yekotwa ye ho bae ne mpenifo isa abro bi akasa na emre ne du se nsem etwegu Ghana no. Yebedi ho nkomo ya pensempesi. Ye gi nkonya se a wa wonim say we do it for God and the country. Enti ene ye topic no ensem ye no pe na imudo yie panti mesre bebi a obi ano bo modern na sponsor for agin bra ye be gibre na ya kan amobi atibi sanso na meji obi bia se nka ba make sure say share button wo sabe boso na we mia so se wo share a ekwa ekire e ma fofo so enye bi hwe na musu timi e be kan ma edi dwumedi no bo me da se na enei wo share video ye boy ya na che say e opening fifi biabi kwete na okasa no na nsema na okani na has got to do with nkrofo asamre omudine echi ekaka gbe aso me openi mama be kwete tem mra na sesen nko betimi akobiem nanso ese edu bebi tise ya na enye fans a obeto ana enye itirimuda ba penin tima na mum dwonman ne ho na hwan mu na ehye sansam mu kena e ma nsam we timi kɔ ekire sa abre no believe a wo ina ne se ampa openi mama onya obekɔ tetem aman yoku NDC akeke sa tem we egu ana sa nkomo ye kɔso egu na den ene ewom mpenifo atena se Mamenko Openi Bennett Kunedu Yadom, only the founder for the NDC Communicators Network. On the SC or share. Now, opening a thing catch a pa. May sure send me a party by the Watibu Humbi. Nan semi, then a woman penny for Swabecasa. Yin no idea, Nankobiti my insight in depth na. Openi, Uti, their party chairman Fifi. Eka, then also what to so.
Yo, minia, medasipi na masan enchia ama yentie for ni ahwefo. Enemia the co-panelist enemi party member ye Rajman. Mechia opi na minia mpanumfo se de onim akono ona edinigina akono. Na asamba efia de mpanumfo anase efiefo ginidi no ona edi cafe no. Say course na eba no na eba not only from party members but from ordinary Ghanaians omufu say yehwe amamu aba atwam particularly from 1992 ehum sabre na yehwe amamu a eba atwam ko na yehwe de European Romani Mahama ANC ya na ekamia kyerɛ ase yemano ebika ho a anse manokota tema anka ebebo man no mpuntu na obekaya ohwe countries biti say Russia money Rwanda money ade a omon president no anase omon prime minister matena kunya so ache me make reference to Rwanda ohwe Rwanda na motu from 1994 ehum sabre ya and omo aye poster boys on continent mu a obi make reference to adia FBA and so manya ne success story what replicating na Rwanda your man back one amount for ta ebodin pa na so course na ye make no na awase ye de enye your constitution no say constitution na assemben na eka constitution is at any point in time no president no one term and if say the modern so na say Ghana for ehun mobo number mani biemu that person can only go for only 2 terms and European Romani Mahama between 2012 and 2016 no obasomo mano as president and Ghana for ya sa kan say sebi onkotena se kakra na yemfa ba ho from ra eno na namu ma yedi Eura Kufuado ebetena kunya so na 2016 April 2025 January European Romani Mahama ebefa kunya no ye nyina ehu enoma Ghana for your firm. Say San Noma your firm, eno near the Toto Amamua and the Roman Mahama Abu in the last 12 months now. And the may boom, as you say, Sanke, my original Roman Mahama Quine Manasa Kupi Moa and Kebebwa. Nanso so said the medical kind of your constitution is stipulated clearly as a for only 2 terms. And even with those 2 terms now, only if the people of Ghana are happy with you. And on the mount mandate number 4 a second term. And of course, your original Roman Mahama so Eddie Kaba Bonte Ebe can say Sabi you'll be a very democratic. And on that there a day Yamano and as a democracy no about to jeopardy. Into about one thing clearly be addresses say on it doesn't have any intention say or call for a 3rd term. And he's wabase in the 4 years at the amano or be building a strong Ghana. Now building institutions up in the power after the 4 years no. A bad didn't say the panel on do against now while make Ghana no. And clearly we've all seen the improvement and change of governance in the last 12 months. And for me, as much as say call no legitimate, we should also consider the fact that peace is very fragile. And say make certain requests and I say suggestions are we should be very, very mindful of the fact that we live in a country where we neighbors or much share our political issues. And all those issues have to do with the leadership of the party of the country. And you're taking clue from all countries. And I can say, the constitution, and so the media can at any point in time, the president will have 1 term. If the people of Ghana are happy with you are likely to be given a 2nd term. And Yoweri John Dramani Mahama has been given a 2nd term by the people of Ghana, which is his last term. Of course, you will greater majority of parliament. Ebianka, you bet me at the amend your constitution, Nebianka call for referendum. Now, you have say.
Open you. I think so. Opening make it we be na video na you kaka yenhwe na sabe yemu opening agima embrim na ne insisi so ananka e na ba opening agima.
Yeah, I mean,
Aha. Bacho enkoma ye di about bua ekoso enkofo bi e kase your man penny possibilities of a quarter term high. Sami party penny fa abubu egu mu na mo inside. Monto so amoka to sen.
okay. Meda wase na machi TFO bio na fe. Hwehwe mu ni nim de kakra ifisi ye wo de abrɛ TFO na TFO so ate de ekoso NDC amenyuko no. This time me to the advice to my party people. Do you know, say, Minua, a diesel engine car? It is supposed to driven frequently because this is how it was designed for. By running hot in order to burn off the carbon deposit in the engine, that is diesel engine. So by having a diesel car, you need to prepare for a long distance. After one destination, prepare for next destination. So unfortunately, that is how life was made or designed, like a diesel engine car. Any diesel engine car needs to run long distance in order to make the engine healthier. So by having a diesel engine car, which stay for long for undriven, then prepare for damages. What am I trying to say? Let's make compare and contrast.
Okay.
Here lies the case. NDC is like a diesel engine car. We were made or we were designed to run for very, very long distance journey. That is how NDC was designed for. So basically, from one destination, our next thinking or our next movement is where to move for the next few moments or for the next few hours. That is how NDC was made for. And it is unfortunate, that is how life was even designed. Life was designed like diesel engine car. So basically, NDC, it has come to a point to say, yeah, majority in parliament of which we can do anything in favor of us. Is it that right? I know you know a tea for her. Is it that force? I know you know a tea for her. So the person say impo or my penny I made my friend the Latter-day Saint John or say a kunasu CCA or ye na dwene say me so me you be ba me a family member me wo yere woma me so me hear me private life me nko bio. Who is the next? That is what we need to think. And yet so no be quoted and on so be for and no doesn't come in. As a diesel engine car, we need to think about the next destination, not the driver. So as a NDC, my advice to my party people to produce more drivers. So the car is the NDC, that is the diesel engine car, of which we need to think about the next destination. Where are we moving to?
And on about my next question. I think they're all kind of about my next question. Now, Sadia Moka said, Ed Naya, Ibinum Air Cassa, Ed President Mahama, and call for the third term. No, doesn't mean a money candidate.
Yeah, let me come in. That is why I made topic
candidate for elections.
Yeah, most qualified and competent people. That is why I made this case Matudi said advice to my party NDC. Express a DNT will be a call for Ora JDM. Express should be a what they did at or minor any the party at large. She said, or started from assemblyman and what Ababedu Sabri. Express said he was made different amount others. A DNT and and then we call for inputs what yes or bequa. And so no ni honoma, why view. And to me, the means you because program I name is a friend and Nokware Mmre. We are here to make truth to the general public. Say, if say, okase miya kasa krana inko biwa eri ebe or he also need his private life. What I say, wabesu mo mine yesi bema biyi wa meyi na. And no one is custody of knowledge. Ekere say, ye bibi sha wonsa tene wonsem biwa sum ema afoforo. When we say basically, most of our appointees and call for bitterness or say if you can offer be an offer. What kind of reputation are we building? It is an over JDM or year from assemblyman to Denmark and then Quebec qualify. Say a person be court man as uncle it depend on relationship towards your neighbors. Yes, say a honor is a burden edija on the swab. And to say be bintiness a ubenya akwanya or so oba to the grassroots. Yeah, our current appointees, again, no more actually grassroots. As at now, 1 year ni, ye jubilate the same way ye nkofonsu. Say, empo, enipa bi ye support womu, ebo de rodi ye crack to homa woman, and the crowd friend omfa. Ebi so anaka say the parents qualify for the next position. Anka ingli biti ni ato enti sɛ unya a friend sɛ akwanya bi a sɛ wobɛsom mine no wobɛsom no wabusua ɔso ubiem Enti simple already JDM say me kubiwa. Who is the next? That is how I was thinking. Say NDC was made to run long term in Ghana. We have the diesel engine car, which is very healthier. NDC is the most popular party in Ghana as at now, of which Obientimi engine free and some. Aka yenia yebe build it friends a trust to build the whole country at heart. Yetimi atwaso akobio. Already dim we nipa. Do say and you be a victim by man penny. You only pay man no matter how you think. Young point said that bomo special ultimate gym free because all share from a repetition from primary school boys SP session leader the about running presidency. Extra said he was made special. And then the man here unique. Or nipani nipantem. NTSA. Yanshare a choir, a friend say, Ura, Mianka Seminia appear stadium. Utimi, and then whom you have for the man. A chess a nipano. Unim the wire mano. Most of our leaders are become most ungrateful. Say, after I say, Puwoku woman on any refi. Say, and I'm also no cupio. Appear stadium, a can't ura, or can't and yama ura JDM, ayamana. Nature say, also, then a hotel form. Eda dan emano. Say nipa we say ota na chia. E dey na chia say bit me atwe na sign. Appear say you know from MPP, but the ohu ye actually say already the mtimi ko twen appear stadium from MPP and then we be die hard member of NDC. Yempanyimfo no manya position no. Impact be no omo ye e dey at grassroots. Say impomo ma benya
the decision of the president ono aka say onko biem.
Yes, that is
now. No, he has from now till 8 months time. Can anything change? You wait to understand decision because
yes,
according to the win or the larger number, which he can easily.
Yes,
but we bet you understand him.
We nipa. So we're thinking about 2 dimensions. He can decide no. He can decide yes or no. Anything can happen. So that one we leave it to nature to take it.
Now I say people are calling. So what if the majority of the people, not even appointees, but Ghanaians, voters?
Yes. And not I make say majority are calling for the Latter-day Saints. Not the baby I remember me say we Latter-day Saints. John, where we remember or no need power back when upon CC and Ama or my Ghana. Say umi Ghana for free. I want you. Ghana for crabby timakas. Okay, tintin train. Yen to also be mute. And so I copy say Otridian Proveton and and also the way of Ghanaians. We can decide because you 2025 December Brunei actually sampa your leader new leaders. That's what I say. Enti oye special young consider a born different say a me umi Ghana phone free ahochim. Enti say Ghana focus on transfer or no pepa say or na pomudine no hwe na busuan ni bibia so okay eni obi an bit ma be sofo ni nyina so kan nyame adwuma no nti metena so aso man na eye amen emo man Ghana say ye dey empire bo ebeta na chi na ye dey odo beta na chi na ye nyina no ya bo no mana arane o man no na onya na ntuma pe efra sene na menua yadom ekan o hwe o man bi ti say Rwanda any amai bibre ho no ma omuma mpanyimfo no atena so ache no omotimi aboa ma oman no enya na ntuma pefra enema bibre ho no ma ene ye use Rwanda as a reference point say ye ko Rwanda ye ka former Rwanda enye ne Rwanda na nke ene credit be 20-30 years ago ne de won mchewa na unko because of omuma ne etete pansam ye but it takes a leader like JDM Urapo Kagame and obetana so watimi atoto niema ama Rwanda adane Rwanda and yingina Africa you use Rwanda as a reference point to our time. So I say it is over JDM e decide say me ba me bo ha no singina che say over JDM e decide say bibinti mintimi nkobiwa fine na yen ye no ye a friend ye who do a memede babetu abusuafo nim se mom ye who do na whoever ya mo akonya se beso man also tere leadership skills are already in your de say from class prefect session leader sa basic boys SP from boys SP ba assembly minds are there be pre e kire what nipa se
Okay.
odo nipa oba from nipa so I say but who are just appointee keke ye frewa omfa omanfo kura enhu ye be hu a instead of you to think for the next generation you are thinking about the next election of which are in fact you're only 3 years from now because a bit too MPP omu bet now so 8 years no bu na egu masu and Ghana for Montana way and chenche wona fe intimidate this is advice. NDC was designed like a diesel engine car. We were designed to run for long distance without brake. And this is opportunity for us. Share a kind MPP Ghana for far so able to MPP out. No the NDC better. It's just say ya to 2 year sky is our limit. We can do more. Yeah say you better take more 4th term. We need to go further. It must say yena yenya akwanya awo amanyoku no mu no ene yene ye wo pepa se ye pese ye sun oman no oman ye mbi ya sun esan se enipa na ye besun no se ye befre wo na wo mfa bi kura na bibi na esi ene ye pese ye ka kirew ana se obi ehia support bi ne ye befre wo na wo mfa no de apart from JDM hardly let me put it on record say sa papa we pe ene wo sa timan ona ne ba fo emehi enti mesere say ye ne akachire no yensu yensua no na oni ho no ma ya mre so ade ase tetem yi e kire say yensesan yesu na whoever wo ya appointee wo ya minister wo ya hwanhwane no brafom eko okura ase na dati bi no ohia mboa na say bibi akonwa bi beto no ma ya bo odi aka say nipa so na si ni ho no ma ya mfa ma obi a we a sign for NDC because we were designed to run Ghana so that kingdom come. Failure to do so, Bekakoha or my Ghana in the next coming years. Intimate say, Mumbi in ano, Yenyakumako. Now JDM. Reconsider your decisions. Mestre, reconsider your decisions.
The decision is saying, say, Beba Biman as
the tense of my Ghana Hiano. And then this is Ghana.
President John Mahama has only 8 months into his presidency recently declared that he has no intentions to run for 3rd term in office. His declaration obviously relates to Article 66 of the 1992 Constitution, which states that a person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. Okay, let me move on. The issue as to whether or not Article 66 of the 1992 Constitution closes the door on the extension of the president's term in office after he has served for 2 terms has recently begun to engage the minds of Ghanaians. The Constitution under Article 290 classifies the Article 66 under 8 entrenched provisions which can be amended through detailed procedure as outlined under the article. Let's just say, even though Penifua Kasa, Papa Nso Akwenya so Obekasa, na Yenshe. The Council of States, the Council of State, the Electoral Commission, and the voting public of the Republic of Ghana. Thus, the presidential term limit, even though they entrenched under the Constitution. We na make Constitution nakasa, and so the amount for Bekani nano it me as a openina James Mmre nasa oba yen share the consequences yen share how because if the president decided to obey 3rd term, let's look at the amendment processes. I say I'm running film and that period no the time and maybe say it me makwan masa 3rd term no isi na mami invite openi konedu Mmre no handle this particular one for me. I think after that, no, I try some about to open ajimai. Well, mamiko opening kunedo. Na menje
I think you're okay.
I think he was on the black. He was talking before at the line. No, opening. Question it here. Does the presidential term limit, even though they're entrenched under the constitution and not set on in a stone that can amend it, provided specific procedures? And say you can say on term amendment processes near the idea of film period. It may allow my baby Sasiana. And as we talk about the time limit, let's also focus on what can happen, the advantages or the disadvantages. I think opening some of the advantages that we can boldly say or point our hands to when it comes to Rwanda and development. But we should also accept the fact that we are Ghanaians. We have different mentality, even though we are all Africans. And yeah, we are looking at our democracy near the idea. Opening Pameko, now I'm into agenda on this. Opening Bennett. Okay, so opening your radio, I think now we're gonna for dream on this particular one. Specifically, the procedure of amendment of Article 66. Article 66 now, no, say intimi Emma or Mampeni Quine Mane running more than 2 terms. So, see, I know it's saying a dom doa Amayo Quayo Mampeni Ifrim Ewonti. Just a man who quine so to me amended. I was just looking at the time frame, but this article I'm reading says that the process has been initiated by the parliament and go through a referendum involving 40% of the voting public, which results in 75% of the voters at the referendum endorsing the amendment of the entrenched position to permit the extension of an expired presidential term. Sesana article we air ya started at that. We now just 40% is already gone. Now the extension a very successful. And even if a very successful, will it be successful under JDM? Said JDM is running for a 3rd term. And that process will not allow the time period now involving will not allow say president the sitting president John Dramani Mahama ever call for 3rd term. Probably it can happen to the next president. Opini.
Minya medawase. Na my akwanya ode amami. Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Pacho what minute?
Yeah,
medawase. Yeah, medawase ni akwanya ode amami. The outline no very clear and sincere to our dear listeners or my fellow Ghanaians. Very some it is a Ghana for a G2 say. Best Mmre na Mmre Ghana for we nya de also ye koto so aba na se adwene ho bebre se ebeyi itipaye because yes am for the training to us all. I wonder why Mami Musa Minya, have you wonder why Elupe and ship doesn't have side mirrors? Maybe our didn't call. Yes. The reason is very simple. At that time or at that high speed, you don't need to look forward. You don't need to look behind whoever is chasing you or who is behind you. So Elupe and ship doesn't use side mirrors. The reason is very simple because at that moment I will take it off. Anything behind you, is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Ship and plane doesn't have side mirrors. What I'm trying to say, NDC, we don't need to look back, say who supposed to approach us, say the will of Ghanaians. And at the rate of speed that Yashas Ghana for air from 2025 up to now, we don't need to look back. Who is behind us? Because to Obia when I say it doesn't qualify to move on. Because you can't move on at the same time, look back, then we are still in the traffic. But NDC, we are far behind, we are far ahead of traffic. We are free trafficking, we are in the sky, we are on the sea. Any racist behavior, you are taking the lead. The only thing you hear is say unity. See a better your party man. Only thing you hear is say any grassroots. Say if really
unity. And we can all attest to the fact that right now we're party man, and to say the you or the other side, which is good. Now there may be success. Initiation of the process, no. I think you're initiating put that. Now let's consider the time frame. Process because Ghana, because of democracy, be biano a far parliament. You're doing open same. You're jitum and santimia. This is the amendment of the law. And looking at the time frame, yes, I do. Ibetimia cover to say the more can. Ebe within as at 10 more can. In fact, ebe start John Dramani Swana.
Okay, Minia. Ya didn't see a beya. I had to him. Mmre. And we don't need to go about. A friend say a tron you're dragging too much. And we have the majority of which no minority can distract or obstruct the proceedings. And to see any abrasi see baby we even 8 months is too much. You better not so that way. And then anyone a friend said 1 year and you swear in. Yan friend you made your Obi 8 years crown and to say 8 months yet so. Sorry, I say it is any appreciate by ya. Nyama already game deal work within the last few months or terms, which is 1 year ago. And then watching the second year, which is on the 8th of January, and watching 1 year, a second year, Sa time we any nyama deal work when we. At the end, I just see a PC here, be bit me off strategy. So that's what I was saying. Yeah, no. At the rate any speed that you move Ghana and any corner, we don't need side mirrors. Here, driving mirrors to look back, to look whoever is chasing us. We rather need to focus on the speed of which we are moving, because to look behind, and the reason that we don't need side mirrors in air, no, because airfreight or airplane doesn't need a driving mirror or side mirror, because the wind or the obstruction of a wind is enough to break it. To look behind whatever will take place behind, and make me distract here. So my advice to people is to unity. United we stand, divided we fall. And
on this note,
already said,
on this note, I think the internet, no, fair with opening the net. Remember, Mmre Kumabi on this particular topic. Then we can move on to the next topic. Yeah, Brenti, respectively. Opening the net. We are sorry now. I think internet, how kakra. I've asked a couple of questions. I would also want you to touch on it now. You're moving quite Mmre.
Yo, Minia, Medasipi. So, not Mikuswa Mekasa, the statement I hear General Secretary make here with regards to one or more cancer, Yama Euro Gendomani Mahama, a third term. And so he has come out publicly even before say Constitutional Review Committee Amodomo report on the Bebano. Now Wadika Babontain Abekan categorically say he's not intending to seek a third term. And said the Constitutional Review Committee and so report by so chere say ampa Ghana for do na no na omo consult o mo nyina na jitum say yes second term no okay na mum enka yetimi extend the number of years no from 4 to 5 and kebeboa, and that is what discussion I always see. I think say it's been implemented pending the next election. You already know my course now man for Emeki for him to go for a third term. I think say a call in the right direction to some extent, but generally and democratically, it doesn't sound too well for a country like ours. Yeah, setting a pace for ourselves as a true democratic nation within the West African sub-region and of course across the sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, I was saying a clear succession plan. Said the European Roman Mama can say or build strong institutions so that any power or be seen and it will be difficult for that person to undo a normal obey, and then you a normal way. And I think say maybe President Obama, former president of America, can say Africa needs strong institutions, not strong leadership. I think say Roman Mahama buys into that idea, even though or power and uncle between the amount for course amount for making everybody through no. Or say no onion to where democratic person nti oba say your constitution na edebo man na bra no or undermine the constitution in any way or form nti ye na yitum as party members of course and ke benya say obi o abesi na nan no say ni pa na betutu na mo say Regent Romani Mahama. I think that is what we should be calling for, that Regent Romani Mahama pace now was set at all the president that was set at all the next person who assumed that office should be able to replicate the same steps and answer the same precedent now so that it's not just about individuals but about institutions that work efficiently for the benefit of all Ghanaians. I think that is what we should all be calling for. On the issue of all can say the people calling for a third term, sycophants, for me, I feel that was quite too harsh. As much as he all points say or make his statement, and I think being general secretary of a party, some of these harsh comments could actually demoralize people. And identity going forward, we need to look at how I address people, especially in public, so that we don't tend to offend people. I mean, so also prior to 2024 December election, okay, the spirit of the party, people, particularly those at the grassroots now, it was very, very high. Today, if you're called back to the grassroots, there is so much, resentment, particularly when it comes to people who have been appointed to serve in this government. Some of our people not actually say show some level of disrespect. And those are the kind of things the party should begin to look into. And likely when I met the High Commissioner last week, maybe Sano, and I spoke to him about that. Say there seems to be a lot of dissatisfaction among the grassroots of the party with regards to how some appointees are conducted or any other. So the party should begin to look into that. Say it to me, yes, now with the template the next person who assumes that office should be able to drive Ghana towards the right direction. And Mahama can say and I think we should take that in all sincerity. Say now said the Constitutional Review Committee is also reported by it. Say a third term will not suffice. That should be accepted. A constitutional body na asset and a set here and on this findings number and that's all we don't report about. So I don't think call no class should be entertained because you're the money John Romani Mahama and Kasankasa can say or you're ready to go. The Constitutional Review Committee, at the report about it say more consult stakeholders in nature say they are not interested in a third term. I feel your constitution and Kasankasa set a threshold for whoever becomes president and how many times does anybody as president of our country. A year say a call for Romani Mahama. It actually demonstrates the kind of leadership what should actually Ghana for in the last 12 months. And I pray and hope that going forward, we'll continue to go in the right direction. So they are by 2028, Ghanaians, even if you the Obin Power Ghanaians will find a reason to, give the NDC another mandate to rule our country. Of course, so NPP NDC now just opposed these two political parties against our achievements in government. Clearly, the NDC stands very, 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 very tall, and it is no surprise and say NDC is a social democrat. So whenever we are in government, we try to make sure that we put the people of Ghana at the very center of everything. And that is what we've seen in the last 12 months. What happened in December during the Christmas festivities, actually the kind of Ghana you built at this particular moment. Say inflation, particularly towards Christmas, say inflation it may rise all the way to about 20%, 25%. But this time around, we saw inflation drop to single digits. It's around 6 point something percent, which is quite outrageous for a country just 12 months ago. Just over 12 months ago. Now, air crumble with inflation, with currency depreciation, and poor governance. But today, the figures and the narratives are very, very different. And it is because Romani Mahama built a certain template. And before Sobefa Kujan, he had a very clear plan in terms of how he wanted to govern this country. And we've seen how he's implemented those plans. And as we are commending Romani Mahama, we should also not forget to commend his appointees. I was talking to Peter Mensah, Deputy CEO for Tamashepiad, and I commended him, and not just him, but the entire team now. How many Romani Mahama? If you say, vision, mandate, and they are helping him to carry the mandate forward. And we should also, appreciate and commend them. So, for 12 months, Yanti say, yes, I appointee be no one question, Katasishim, and I say, Chronobomu, Yantibi, and Binancy. It shows that appointees say, Mama no me, carry the vision, the charisma. And the future of EMI and said you're Romani Mahama Ekarino. Many High Commissioner Asia South Africa's Ghana's High Commissioner South Africa, you're Benjamin Kwash Asia. I told him that Ocean demeanor, okay, they all carry no one. It's just a clear semblance of Romani Mahama, or carry at least a certain spirit. A part of Romani Mahama, and that is what most of the appointees have done, and that is why. If you move fresh, say, Romani Mahama a third term. It is because in the corporate I demonstrate you almost to a clear commitment towards service. And I believe that Obi Biara or person contesting in the next election, I say primaries, not Obi Lidi Party, should take a clue from how Romani Mahama I show leadership in the last 12 months. Now, on also about on pass no money be end to 12 crams, said a bear or man a becoso a tumpon. Macase say Befa Kunyana, or money ye dear Edaya Kumaso. NDC Befa Kunyana, or money ye dear Edaya Kumaso. And now I know because the inflation just over 6%. Just over 6%. The city I appreciate it by more than 40% year on year in the last 12 months. These are figures and any evidence HS and Omano N9 and any H baby a year it's in supporter. And if the NDC is the party a bit of the Ghana baby or say corner, we should support the NDC regardless of who takes up the mantle, as long as any panel a demonstrated commitment towards serving our country. That person should be giving the support of the general masses. Say the bear or bit my Jumano na so ye comadrian. You were Romani Mahama, said the Mikande Biano, or you'll be a man here dead and Akuma. So sometimes you listen to him and you feel like Kwame Nkrumah is talking. He's not serving his own interest. He's not serving his own interest. It's all about Ghana. And that is what we all wanted all along. And fortunately for us, and I've always said for him to lose the 2016 election was actually a blessing in disguise. God was actually preparing him for this moment. Just imagine a Ghana and Kayewa Romani Mahama and the president after a miserable 8 years. Where would Ghana be by now? But because Romani Mahama now what a clear vision for this country, you know who be a OCCA. And if you can continue the tangent now, you pick it this time, for the next 10 years, I believe Ghana will be very, very far. I mean, yeah.
Great. Great. I think opening network Hanekaka, but we'll end on that. We end with his submission on the issue of the president's third term. President Angasaki against NSSM. Now, I would want us to move on to the next topic, concerning or regarding Gold Board. Now, before that, first of all, let me acknowledge some of our viewers on Facebook. And Facebook, appreciation to all our viewers on Facebook. Share some about 254. I started here, which is more interesting. Which I say this year, your viewers on for in Diagro, creation from Diagro. That must be brave. Wait, if you're not a free moon. Your message is the second topic. Not us. Wait, if you're not a free moon. Says, good evening, my people. Happy New Year to you and the whole team. I don't watch any other program. Only this platform. Not a free moon. Papa. Someone say today Ghana is the and your papa and the content Papa sure Papa. You can't cross until Monkoswana Monyan Sa Maye, Monshare Maye, Muma, Jumidian, any day, and quit your Madaroma, the must be brave. Robert Kimby says, Happy New Year, comrades. Watching from Paris, France. Robert, that's be brave. That's be brave. Frempong Befi says, I'm watching from Akuseni so many Happy New Year to you, Frempong. Any Akusi for you na today Ghana News, a bit more bronya, any New Year, it will be unchained. Why? NDC, Diaspora Union, also says, great show, kudos to you, comrades, Happy New Year. Ghanaians made a good choice for voting for President Mahama and the NDC. Pacho, NDC Diaspora Union for what to say. Asempa in Boachi says Happy New Year. Asempa Happy New Year to you. Is watching and listening from Achen Himang and that's it. Wow, Happy New Year. Thank you for the collaboration. Watching from Rara in Uti region. We if you jump from TV. Platforms in the back once I'm Happy New Year, Lawrence and your team panel. Watching from Suhumi in the Eastern region, we if we Kuku na Eastern Fono, when I'm noticing. And check a saying come be our share wasting. Happy New Year, watching from Lisbon, Portugal. Mahama is the hope. We if we Mavis Boating. Lady Ma says, good evening to Dr. Abungu. We miss his lies. Hey, and the dog wamba. And the dog wamba. Oh my God, I hear me there. I say watching on Twitch from St. Petersburg in Russia. Lady, Russia funny Nigeria. We if it's Kappa family says Mahama should even be thinking about 5 term, not 10 term. Hey, Edion, watching from Jumapo near Kufuria. It do be as Kufuria. Nkoswana Nshema is Djibouti Fua says Bennett is making a very good submission watching from Sunyani Edasi Bebre Djibouti Fua. Nyami Yabio says the NDC have a lot of capable men and women to lead the country. Watching from Kwanta in the OT region. Edasi Bebre Nyami Yabio Afisha Pakesi and Komau. Nyami Yabio I say Kwame Ajimai. A good point. Really, I see your 3 points or more piaful. K3 JC. Honestly, I'm really enjoying the show. Mr. Kwame Ajima, I like your contribution. Watching from Turkey. And I say, Ko Global, I don't know. That's the K3. So we be able to official pa. We, if we me father, me up, I don't know. I say, as a non-Ghanaian, but frequent visitor, I question why the leaders of public service, health, police, prisons, education are changed over when the party changes. Hey, this is very disruptive and they should, in my view, be a political appointment. Assembly Father Peter, I've said this over and over again, because sometimes you can see somebody holding a public office and the person is doing very good, but the moment political powers changes or government changes, whether the person is doing good or whether the person is they just take off the person out of the office. And it saddens my heart when these things happens. For all you know, they bring somebody who does not even have any idea or clue about the kind of office they are come to hold. Nepotism. Give this position to this person because he's my cousin, because it's my brother, because he's a family member. That's what we do. So anytime government changes, appointees also changes. If the person is performing, they change them because of the change of political power, which is not good. Very bad, very appalling. And I start with you, Father, Mr. Peter Hassler, my own father from the UK. Thank you for your submission. I would like us to move to the next topic. Yes, abaso. Na yenko topic a edisu you. Gold board bruhaha. Samre no. Ekoso. Na IMF edibetu just say gold board. It lose 214 million. Na we no gold board. And so about I reject it. And we refuse these claims. Now, this bruha na ekoso no. There yet 2 man for in Abisa must say. We know imperialist listeners, I'm a model man of fetchery. Any part so one pass the losses really okay. And I've got a lot of questions under this to ask. Like me what questions be brave. No questions be brave. I'm person bisa. No questions be brave on this to ask. So what we are asking people and the good people of Ghana, within and outside Ghana, did Good Boy actually make these losses in its operations? Or is the imperialists making those noise over nothing? Okay, before we even go straight to our panelists, let me give you a brief background. Good Boy reject IMF claims over $214 million loss in Gold Board. The Ghana Gold Board has strongly rejected claims contained in the International Monetary Funds, that's IMF, beg your pardon, fifth review report under Ghana's 3-year extended credit. Let's keep you away. In its report, IMF flagged the alleged losses as a key downside risk to Ghana's broad macroeconomic stabilization agenda, attributing them largely to trading losses under the artisanal and small-scale mining. Samri, Good Board say, I've listened to some impenophobia submissions be on making. Now, if you can say there, what baffles my mind? The I mean, say, if Good Board are rejecting claims way, then we have some people also coming up to tell us, say, yes, there losses in the in care. Na no a policy we no near the ade na ma case losses na say you can eduma na nkasa de enya de deliberately loses capital, which is a broma adwene menti so. Now I've got some few questions. You see then na yeton gold no, why na yeton ma no? Say ye boka, is it still a programmer? Say yentena so na yem boka over $214 million. Why na yeton ma no? And so far no concerns and confirm raising about a sole buyer, Mamifans aggregator, And also a better topic for discussion about rock. The question is no, baby. Open your my way there, home so. I mean, so would Mike is here now. Double can go. I'm start opening Bennett so. Now, you mean saying na young copy, ya na age na here. Opening IMF reporting. Gold board, I refuse. A banner sign. And sa Nokware Mmre saying and a losses we all. And why are we still on the same platform or the stand on the same tangent? Sa business in a lose. Open Bennett.
Yo, I mean, I'm a DCP. Mon fan chemena. More duty into no one. I call Abana. I interject. Me, you know, me net. Yeah, inti. Minya. I have been a forex trader for almost 10 years. I trade the forex market, and when it comes to a normal movie commodity prices and currencies, I'm quite versed in them. And so even before Gold Board institution, I had always advocated say Ghana needed a body like Gold Board, because over countries even say Australia. A major producer of gold. Okay, countries to say Canada. A very big producer of gold. Even the United Kingdom, need gold mine, yeah, but a very big gold reserve. All these countries, currencies are backed by gold. Oko Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabia currency has been relatively very stable against the USD for the past how many years? It is all because the Saudi currency is pegged against oil reserves and also oil production. Oko Australia, the Australian dollar is pegged against gold because that is what they produce in large quantities. Oko Canada, that is same. Oko, all the major countries don't produce gold now. That's what they do. Their currencies are backed by gold. Not necessarily how much gold you have in your reserves, but how much you're able to sell on the international market and bring foreign reserves into your country. And I had always said that Ghana needed a body that would make sure that we are able to aggregate all our gold into one basket so that we know how much gold we are selling. And likely for Ghana and for the people of Ghana, Yewa Jondomani Mahama came with that beautiful plan. And we've all seen the impact of Gold Board on the Ghanaian economy. Now, it's going to be very difficult to measure or quantify the impact of Gold Board in the last 12 months. But we between 2020 and 2024, how inflation, wiped out of amount for Esika. At a point in time, inflation reached over 56%. What that meant is that capital that would be and also salary and now now depreciated by more than 56%. And then by Ken courtesy Gold Board, yen inflation are dropping all the way to a single digit. Yen CD appreciated by more than 40% in the last 12 months. The economic impact of this cannot be quantified. And I think that is what all of us should be considering. At a point in time, Canada can say because of currency depreciation, any inflation will lose over $150 million in less than 1 week. So if one person, Canada lose $150 million in less than 1 week because of currency depreciation, you can imagine how much money Ghanaians lost to currency depreciation between 2020 and 2024. Can we say $240 million now a administrative cost to the Bank of Ghana? No, says you cannot change Ghana for Lucy in the last 4 years now. That's not. Gold Board.
Are you backing the loss? Are you defending the loss?
I'm reading the report. There is nowhere in the report IMF estate clearly say Gold Board are making losses. That $240 million, it is not directly attributed to the operations of Gold Board. A Bank of Ghana, a policy and no more operations, and I incur that cost. But we should not forget, say, the reason why in TS our cost we have and say, you build gold board and any gold for reserves, and it's a buffer, any young gold reserves, so that there will be enough liquidity, dollar liquidity in the system to boost, trade. And the economic impact of that, objective, has been realized. In the last 12 months, the cedi has been relatively very stable. Inflation has dropped quite considerably. Those are the kind of factors we need to begin to look at. Now, as I said here, you can say you try 10 billion Ghana cedis at your healthcare infrastructure. How do you quantify, say, $10 billion in additional healthcare infrastructure? You can back. You cannot quantify that because healthcare provision is a policy initiative, and gold board institution, a policy institution. The core objective is say and help them and bring foreign reserve, and I said hard currencies into our country. And we all know said in the last 12 months, gold board had over $10 billion and our show by through in operations away. And say if you didn't quantify a year investment, they share healthcare more because a policy. How do we quantify the loss gold board and make it in the operations when the main objective of gold board and say on make it profit? Name on your policy interventionist initiative Emma a binding Bank of Ghana said they pay your wait me your gold no $dollars above my enemy.
Wait, let me go right to my next question. Who can policy interventions now? In me educated Ghanaians on some of the fundamental structures involved in this. I bet me coming into a common platform just for the Ghanaian to understand what actually this is.
Minia, okay, my main can be in Ghana for the reason why in here over the years, I see and see no and what they form, and it said need enough dollars our system no more. We always had shortages of foreign reserves, and I say foreign currencies, particularly dollars. No. And so the gold board and mandate are banning demand and say you will gold with the bill no. Next so you want for almost to gold in the power so the few of mine qua. You need the quantity of gold that if you are my at a point in time, gold that you declare say I exported that come for farmers. You call Dubai in India, now you're more than double of the into Abani say, you set up gold board. Now gold board, and yet more or less like an aggregator. Only the gold now you free a small scale miners in now. Now on non concoton when you second free Bank of Ghana now on this has can gold in cities. Now on from Kunko Jamason concoton, no on dollars and Ramesho minimum. That is what gold board a. And then you say business and I said you may be a juma, you pay be administrative cost. As I said, you will see how they boss a juma hobra. And so gold board in the Juma dia in partnership with Bank of Ghana no. And the day on being yes there as a juma. Name you gold board a Juma dia in the last 12 months. You hear secure the Rabbe show man no. Near sa a kana esa down now. We are saying say economic benefits. Ese ene offer Keyetia and also call central marketer. Who could 100 cities ultimately did dino almost 1 week now. It says gold board Juma dia umudieno a swab and password. If you say near say $40 in promise show manumu, not in sika semono enya brane, not a manumu nya community. And that is what the Naya witnessed this time. Omanu and Edwina for Anka December, January, and I don't know why I do all mine, and then I don't bore for more mine. If you said, and no man can fertilizers, any other in city, $1 cocoa for banana, and then because there is enough dollars, courtesy gold board operations, and then fertilizer ball from in the farm and cocoa, or ton of a ball for another way, or the quiet a bar, on top of ton toast in the form to be. So these are the measures and other parameters. Also, a share, you say, gold board operations no enso so be no dey aba o man mu nisu so no bi ni say ene inflation aba to a single digit yen see no I appreciate by more than 40% against the US dollar and now me know can say yen debt to GDP and then 63% just over 12 months ago no your debt to GDP had dropped to about 46%, representing over 100 billion Ghana cedis. And a car in 2014 and 2024, say na yesi ekutwe sa kana export by over 100 billion cedis.
I think openly Bennett stay on that. Mamenko openly anti my now maybe some say if indeed we are losing this amount of money and because of the structures me in administrative costs no ni na wo honoma then going forward quite ben so na ye sha ye fast one to be na ye ya even though no we still brought in some money and there are still other losses no then you are going forward no all these losses no can come back to us because when this thing happens now, it means it affects a lot of things. Right now, there are a lot of projects going on, and you hear sikapa we are say because just a loss, but mami can't affect school be project, affect a kind be, and to bend the one you making sure say some of these loopholes here one administrative question they don't know. You be severe, you sabeka isika. Opening.
Media medawase na masa achi T4 say. What do you about the second episode of the show? It's me de aseda ebrema. And answer na meba o questions yi mame en kan endra sebia na obi ka chem say o hwe at the rate o manpanyi John Dramani Mahama betna kunra so for the past 1 year. Na nyema koyi na 2025 Brunya Ghana for yantes ya to akoko buomu emo boanya de anwa boanya de na enema ekoto tina na impo ye JDM betna so na Israel ene Iran for ekontokwa senka yo mampanyi dada nanado na woso a enka enra America for ne Venezuela for friends issues yi kikutia ho tax enti ye di aseda be ma already dim simple obetna so na Israel for any Iran for ntokwa ye ntua ho tax na impo Venezuela for issue ya e course ya be for moment panyi say nanado na also sisie ya ke beje ho to say Venezuela against America or see tua to esan so mutimi di COVID tax ABC 2024-25 ansa no already dim e ba bi ye free hono eno kra no mo so mo amoka nese ene obi be gina ba bi betum futuru egu nipa ni say good board aboka na me ni ba bi nipa no or de nasem na de odi free ba dedi kama menchi uru asem gemfie bia obi ano ma menchi ano esan se owunim de mesre yakopon ehia e de amane se onkoso mani nim de o mano ahobombo sonko na onkoso konenim empanyimfo account was a dom ani so de oson ntakrache enti se obi bon homodin asa na Ghana yetie e be fa meet bia se ye de be pull you down no Ghana for dodo na yesu na ese wanya bibia moase a yenyae mo no kro enti se ni wura asami jamfi osi bon homodin Ghana empu metima ka se the most perform part of over JDM amemu asat this time 70% ejina Ghana good board eye uru asami jamfi ta wode abetai o manpanyi JDM amemu na chi amaniema ejina sisi eti enye nwanwa se obumbehwe because yene opposition NPP ene etie enti kwan bi obefa so obesa futuro de agu gali mu bia no obesa de agum na yesi good board ye ton de ne boka ne koto de ne boka a non-profit organization enti we don't need so we be catch us say yakoton bibia boka say yanhwe ema obi ansay forest na gold no yehu ba bi ebefa na yetimi agigi gold ni nyina aboa no de agu kentenku ba kum e de akogye amano no sika e de aba be support mu yesidi no enya hoɔden no eno ti o se be sem futuro gum se ye boka nti yenja ya na sese Oman bay and what the good cool drama so or no cotton the one CD de 50 pesos e tire se ya boka kaya bono ene de ye boka of fine okay kind good board oko mo website eke kind o mo report there's nothing shows say good board aboka if you can share with the commencement of this board now for the past 1 year omokran against omonyano is almost 960 million Ghana cedis. So what I say because Oshe send what do you call a month for any register charges any other form of gains are bamumuna omukran enya sika esene say obi beka se umaboka. Yeni am say na Dr. Bongo beka so akoje friends licenses to acquire good ball licenses na e cost o say. Eno kwa na nya meto good no. Enti to acquire processor ube form nina sana obinya license ube to good no. Rather, okra na diske ekoma good board. Enti therefore, obi beka se Ghana good board aboka ne nipa minu bebi okonya na nsemede free because what the South Africa for good and or they compare Ghana for the say South Africa for to good 1 kilo $5 and yet the aton $3 ni aboka na say.
So I say yani IMF report no say nyane credit na.
Oh, mean kasa no krabet ye no position MPP net here. Enti kwan bi obefa so obetum futu egu ye garam bia no. Obefa so because one wo tamfo tia be very careful. So I say na me kasa o man panyi JDM na membo time gina kese pa 2025-26 ayeku enim no. E kese ejina Ghana good boy. Enti for you to pull this amambo down also tackle enti no wonder so be na printing the results be free baby aba say or ba can say so I say because expenditure good board omo NK for the past year commencement of this administration a year 120 billion Ghana cedis so I say omo comprehensive surplus omo 80 billion so therefore there 5 and hifa ene di good ku dwa a ya nto a ko boni dunko mi e de e kabre yesi asemu ni dan si hwe bi di
administrative cost na ye kanana
me de to me de minimum say enye no kore ene enye no kore nso ba bia say ansa na beka so bi aboka no wo be ye compare and contrast o man be good na de wo de compare say ye de na de ko na e fake kure nti ya nto ene yakohwe agu na ya aboka anasa de ana good so what ya ma fe de good ne de kudwa ye nto bi wa na sese so e kana ya bo ne bo ka wo de be ho sese so that say obi kan sama no ahwe ba bi a oni free ba so that say wo mo ho say afi would one year quality governance omunye bibia enka wonya obi said the name of Benet eka all the ministries all the appointees obi e comporto no enti wonya bibia na de ba betakle say minister wi akwa yisi enti therefore ye de ba betake o mampanyi gdm enti yenkofa free hanum si na ye na grand support a enti mama na mamu na gina enti say MPP ye ne ti Ghana na all kan sam de mumi enti minu so that I say because yene MPP na ti o mamu o man friends say obedi friends amanu ko obedi akonu otimi twa nyankopon ko atro say nipa we be catch say good board aboka wo die di enye MPP no mka so mu si friends cathedral ma nyankopon ko botimi atwa no to na ho abiu enti say baby a omoka o masem free no any gold board no yenton yemfa bibia nko bi a ye kwakoton se bia de gold ye de ko na IS5 enti ya nton ti therefore ya boka so therefore ya boka o de ho so I say enti ensam a friends ba no meka so ye montumu enya sabiare isu ginam ye pe omo pe means just to sabotage the government omo hwe all the ministries across the length and the breadth of the ministries omo nyo bi entake no enti therefore yenkofa free hand say na support eye enye NDC friends enye MPP ya say CD etimi ejina said dollar above from NNPP ya said 2025 December na yanto akoko bu yanto anwom yanto emu say the power be catch say good board aboka na be so hana. I don't think that the rate yen NDC speed the corner said be can we don't need side mirrors to look behind whoever is coming. What I say, we are moving at a rate high speed that we don't need to look behind because we are above traffic level. See, NPP want to draw us back into our traffic jam. When you are flying in the sky, you don't need competition because there's no competition in the sky. And I want to say, I see play me no crash and tell you see, send a car in accidents frequently, no, because in the traffic level, no, you can be knocked down at any given point in time. And we NDC at the rate I hear you take it off, no, we don't need to look behind whoever is coming. And in some of muking in a mess again for so move to move. And you know, rather, you can't even so proscribe Abba if it's a good board now. It's far better than Anado. I'm a move 8 years. Send your mutimi and Ghana good. Say Ghana few. Say Ghanans as in Ghana quiet now. And the woman who said, and Yama assassin, you better miss just to pull you down. Until you write some medium fee. Mesre, Koso, Kuramudimu, Yakukudro, Miniso Yakukudro for. Be bold, Koso, Neye Ujuma, na NDC. Yentimiku and Nimnefe and Tumapa Pefra. Sa, some medium fee, the contribution, me pacho, the contribution, cost of the I don't know, call for. Go DDM, either third term, fourth term. Nina can't be. To tackle gold board no, MPP, or more primary focus, our person here. Now we are not ready to discuss this. We are not in the traffic jam with them. We are in the sky. We don't need any competition. There's no competition in the sky. That is why shape and play don't have side mirrors. We are not ready to look behind whoever is coming. We are taking off air cut at the rate speed and air corner. You no be any competition. The here say ya ponti no. Ombe mo mani akɔhwɛ grassroots Ghanaian at large. Ni enkoso. Ye behwɛ sɛ obia homa asɛm sɛ na MPP time. Omo ministers no mo appointees, omo bad records no, a big bad records no. Ye behwɛ sɛ NDC at our time no, omo hwɛ 1 year there's no minister in trouble. There's no appointees a one problem be. And to make means be just to tackle the primary source.
I've got barely 10 minutes. At this point, and at this juncture, no. I think what you also for the next 3 minutes, and I'll give Bennett for Bennett for I think 5 minutes. Then Miss for 2 minutes. And the submission in the next 3 minutes, mommy.
So the mechanic Ghana a good board, and no abua ama yakuyenim. And therefore, will be the catcher say Yaboka and Yanukre. Yentohi, Yenfo be a Saudi Arabia for good, and could be an Saudi Arabia for $10,000 near the after $5 and Yanukre.
Now, so far, no, the whole good board, no more just one aggregator. One aggregator, no, and has it got to do any with political interest?
No, it doesn't have with any political interest. Near Bresse, bo mine hoban. And at the rate are not good. 18 minutes of mine Ghana minia. Say yet Ghana's assassin ye good. Ope Ghana for more good chain and as a good watcher. I think say it be more my pen more friends say good wedding ring. Asa. No ye be. It's not good if free or man day in day out if free or man econo. Then ye a good one. Ekwa ma omu India for no kura no go the free or ma we say mo eko India no. It's more than the war ma had a war man. Sorry I say. And the new man penny be no abetana so. Was it ye more boa gold ni nyina no. Na ye fa ma nipa baako no fa nkoko je sika emra me support you CD na. I don't think say you make any idea. Say na kebeka say Ghana people body so.
I feel like I say
movie so because all the
And then
Meaning that yes, yeah. I was a good boy, a new baby border. Me pacho. Me say a good board, a new baby border. Ye BNT. As time goes on, we are the name of communication because won't me say ba kumpempone na ifan say yam here boke. Ne be ni me no na me esa. Sorry I say. We need to sit down and structure. So okay, ye ni say be boy. Enti mpanyimfo e wonim de e wo nyansa ọmọdé nìyẹn mẹ de egu akwam ti yẹ fi sẹ yẹ bẹ biem ẹma ayẹ very competitive I think say rifle direction and yet this time nti yẹ bẹ gya ama mpanyinfo na ọmọ ahwẹ ẹkwan pa ọmọ fa so ọmọ fi sẹ ọmọ fa so ẹbẹ boa ní ayẹ sa n'afọ nyinaa sẹ mo ntu mu good mode ọmọ ọka nẹ ẹma ọka kyina yẹ good na yẹ tu Ghana no ẹnsọọto yẹ ẹnsan yẹ ẹna obi abẹka kyerẹ sẹ good nasa ẹna sika na osi yẹ nya no yẹ nya ẹnyẹ no kọrẹ.
We heard say Openi Bennett there's something we call administrative cost. Now I think or explain it. And
administrative cost are not
so far no Kabia mine and the other then me feel it's confusing here.
Me pacho any confusion because administrative cost which is expenditures are because all run it be now be running with expenditure and yema a car getting or use within the organization. So what I say compared to their expenses are almost gains are umanya, which is me I don't call this one profit because to gain nipa don't say na call register good board according licenses. Sika omudia bem any cost because all around we see now you hear cars, you hear buildings, you hear a whole lot of things. But I say we call that one expenditures. What within organization. Young company, young contrast, and young say any part of one here and I call G good licenses. Young sika omudia good. Young sika a friend say good board on my care. Apart from being said no, we are talking about internal good board expenditure. Enti minimum a friend say contradiction bia is a rifle direction good board and more ka senior ya tamfo can say good board be good akwama no nya oboka and na make say Ghana for montungu ye Ghana ye cotton good and more ka say Saudi Arabia for the good akọ omo de ko give 10,000 na Ghana for the $5. That is what I'm saying. It's a good board and more ka and only the etinya ball mine may see etinya agent enti MPP so just to sabotage so what I say because omunya bibi enka to mba betu ogun na good board aboka obi amoka ye fa because good board a non-profit organization nti kana ya bona ne de so what I say ye kwana ye rather than ye hwe so man de economy e bitimi o man bitimi fa no to my preference nti e kana ya bona ne de so what I say said the mekan say MPP na tie adwam sisi a enka Venezuela case ke kutua ho to. Sorry, I say. Enti, omunya bibi enka. Omasha from Minister of Education, from Minister of Forestry bibia no omunya hwe enka. Therefore, yem fan kofa hanum say. Ti be mfi say emfutru no person omosa edigu Ghana for aduanem. Sorry, I say. Ti medi manu si no. Ma mentia Uganda for nyina say on the 15th. I'm talking about Uganda coming election. On the 15th of January, I entreat everyone to go and vote peacefully and remember our sister Jacqueline Achan. Vote for our dear sister on the 15th of January 2026 for the upcoming election in Uganda. Now, for you mention me and Kasa Mabusian Fugina or my confront Ghana. Minua Emmanuel no baby will be a bet here. Now, for mention friends, oh, me Elizabeth Bodua, so mammy, baby will be a bet here. I mention me and Kasa Minua Yadop. Why are dear pa? And I'm sure no, I crab a queen, and Mr. Pa. Yeah, the Mayan Casa with you. Major Panacasa with you.
Mr. Yadom, now I think earlier now we network how I come in 6 minutes be. Remember 5, number for 1. Every time so paper. Mr. Earlier we were touching on the fundamentals. Now I think we network how. Then we are better will touch on why up to now Ghana has just one sole buyer. Aggregator and conforce will be some more.
me da se pi na se na menua menua kwame ajaman ekano there's a clear distinction between administrative costs and administrative losses.
Okay.
There's a clear distinction, and we should get it right. Say you can say administrative cost and not just say administrative loss. That's your boka. No. Adwuma bia ye wo sika sebe ye de bo dwuma die no ho bra. Ye wo sika ye de bo dwuma die no ho bra. Say sika ye de bo ho bra na enye loss. Enye loss, until we should get it right. Now, assuming without admitting say gold board aboka said the NPP for ne kan. So the mechanic IMF reporting, there is no way in the IMF report that just say gold board in particular aboka. Yeah, in 2022, as much as our NP4 a year just 0.76 metric tons of gold, and then the total value in US dollars a year $43.96 million. No, bought a car in 2022. Bought over 74 million Ghana cedis through gold for reserve. Deal now. A car buying a boy and I say Bank of Ghana boy now. 2023. Only 24.87 metric tons. As a car, you free in dollars, a year $791.82 million. A car buying a boy, a year 2.15 billion Ghana cedis. In 2024, just the year before last year, yamu a year 45.3 metric tons. Sika de ba o man mu na ye $3.12 billion. A car ban boy in this a 4.84 billion Ghana cedis. Now in 2025, gold board a total of 103 metric tons. Sika ye de ba o man mu a $10.8 billion. Assuming without admitting say Yaboka $214 million, which translates to about 3.1 billion Ghana cedis. If we compare gold board operation, any revenue minimum, near compare losses against 2024 the gold board are way better because with $10.8 billion, losses are making here and as administrative cost, just over $3 billion, 3 billion Ghana cedis. And before year $3.1 billion. Administrative cost in cities was 4.84 billion Ghana cedis. For just $3 billion. Gold board are $10 billion. Over $10 billion. They only spent just over 3 billion Ghana cedis, which is way smaller compared to 2024 numbers. No. And see, clearly, NPP were looking for something to actually tag the government with. And this thing came up. Unfortunately for them, there has been voices of conscience. Said, we should leave gold board alone because everybody is feeling the impact of that organization in their pockets. And then, because the BRA added a new tax regime reduce the tax, all tax regime, from 25% to about 20%, putting about over 10 billion Ghana cedis in our pockets per year. These are things that come as a result of the operations of gold board. So the America can every country produces gold, and use gold as a buffer. So with Ghana being the largest producer of gold in Africa and the 7th in the world, we should be able to capitalize on that to support our currency and support our economy. And luckily for us, they are not umpenia or Juno mine. One says, I don't know, boy, you're not so for so baby. Minia, now, Kasa, Kafa, a year, the entire, you are only one aggregator. Oh, man. Minia, a year or mine sika and a day to gold. No, and the entire Okoji sika or bank and a Sokoto car. You say, for insurance, and then they say, you didn't say anything can happen in the course of things. That's a BBC. How do you get a buffer to actually cushion yourself up again? I mean South Africa, you say for BBI friend warranty and I say guarantor Ebra. guarantor na che say BBC a say nipa na ebetimi afre ne say oh asem si asi una odi mu so what I say enti we aggregator you say call any bank call any insurance company no more or less a letter of credit say you are credit worthy to represent the government of Ghana in the purchase of gold. What could you to mean as a letter need be from any bank or any insurance company the bar? A bank can trust you. No one said, even if you're the Bank of Ghana and Ghana Posika Master for gold or human. Never be seen as a share. Insurance and as a bank, you know, a Ghana banker. And so we need to can be and so we need assurance now. There is no way better my sacrifice Ghana Posika. I mean, there is one thing we are doing so well, and that is economic prudence. We are making sure that every single cent meant for the public, you know, is properly accounted for and properly put to use. We're not going to sacrifice the sweat of Ghanaians, no matter what the NPP, you know, put across. Initially, they came out to say, Bauer Limited, a company, just incorporated, you know, last year, but records just said they were incorporated back in 2015. Just back in 2015, they only did a change of name, not change of substance, which means that one is only a change of name, so almost the sound within a crab, but when it comes to substance or subject, they didn't change anything. Or more operations or more modus operandi, the same. They are into food production, they are into gold production, they are into a whole lot. And from registration, from incorporation in 2015, up until now, it's still the same. Our modus operandi, our operations are the same. And the end before on propaganda, it doesn't have substance. It is just a matter of a group of people trying to find faults where there is no fault. As the mechanic, a way any of the appointees have demonstrated clear leadership and clear commitment towards the service. And it is the reason why, according to Musa Dankwa, 67% of Ghanaians believe say the country is headed in the right direction.
But for any mami,
but that's me. Israelite, poll in the Facebook channel and the WhatsApp channel. More than 80% of Ghanaians say they are happy with the way things are going, and that if they were given another opportunity to vote for a government, they will repeat what they did in 2024. That is what we are talking about. We have, rebuilt the public confidence in government. Governance is built on perception. If the people have a perception, say abano and then a normal year, people will lose trust in the government. Fortunately for this administration, because of clear commitment they demonstrated to the people of Ghana, and the Ghana follow now we should say abangwe ye normal year. So the government has the support of the people of Ghana. And that is what we should look at. And that is what we should not, toil with. We should not play with that at all. Yes. We should not play with that. We should instill confidence in leadership, instill confidence in governance, and build a new set of encopoa. That is the kind of country I pay. And they make actually Ghana for minimum, they make actually Ghana for say we should have confidence in this government. We've seen a Akufo-Addo administration for 8 years, and we've seen what President Mahama has done in the last 12 months. And we can, if we just oppose the two administrations, we can clearly tell which government and or what good intention for our country. And for this reason, I believe that the GDA any support by now in the next 3 years. Of course, after 2028, NDC will continue again. If we can give the NDC another 15 years to lead this country, trust me, this country will be in a better position than it is right today. Okay, GDP, the nominal figures, GDP, just over.
I've exceeded my time.
Next week, may say a better also.
In fact, next week, one next week, and I say they say never. Medo Bibia say na mama mu ina so official pa. Opening Charles Ajiman, a member of the NDC Diaspora Communicators Network. Sansona Opening Bennett Kunedu Yadome, founder of the NDC Communicators Network. Penipun and Nay Omudi Ega. Omuni Indian Munyansa better admidi chia. Samre Omudi Inchrimu ene omunso adwenkyere abre yeda mo ase bebre say mo adwen dwumadi Nokware Mmre live on TodayGhanaNewsTV. Obi bia o share bibia obi a ho a share ye di messages mo comment by mo shares ni na no we appreciate that mo ina ase say that day na since last year no mo a this year so mo ne edin sa so eda obi bia ase say mo ye ne saman pacho na me fa akwanya we su na ma we hye miko worker me amenia Francis time with Francis happy belated birthday next say nye easy cry ye di cake ni family so na me nsanka bi so di na echi no nyame hia no na afu a we si mi onye nkese sounds na make obi as African art food music culture no festival and exhibition no wa Armenia ya launch August we are 2026 neighbor so for registration please number of friend +37455 850 811 +37455 850 811 and I said +233 45 254 5815 baby bia wo bia no jumedi show a yedi boost African culture no food exhibition everything Africa bia no exhibition here because we Armenian pacho prempenifo na number si amde atudwe oni omunkasa oni omunim sa so na yen kwan so be fa so a obi a promote African bibia for Africa bia no betimi ede ho agi dwumedi mu na afa medo bibia se me panin me am boss me producer me boss me director me bibia ba ko set adi ni me na sekese nkoma se dali de na o hwema dwumedi ati se ekoso e Ghana ni biase afani na nkrofo enya bre na omuti Nokware omuso kire mo adwen me amedi dwumedi hu chia me medin Lawrence apieni yebo anya me aduma de sende ye besen hia 6 pm pepepe na dwumedi nu asha senti pacho hye ne so samre ye jawi enya me nko na me dwumedi nu e wo so dwumedi bebre wo so nti make sure say obekoso ID TodayGhanaNewsTV echi na ye dwumedi ayi na nso no wode wa ho odi onimdie no nyansa wo shares ni na no ebetachi sede be ya dwumedi na channel we ebe kese na ye kra be hwe nyame adoma de sende menu be hia bi e wo Nokware Mmre show you so live on TodayGhanaNewsTV sisi ade makram bedase